Hey, how y'all doing? It's Sharonda, and hey, how y'all doing? So I'm here to talk about a series, Haven, by Drea Anderson. So let's get into this thing, shall we? Okay, so this is a three-book series. If you've gone through my videos, I've read this author before, and I actually decided to go into her back catalog, and Haven was the first couple of books that I came across, and it's good. It's a three-book series based around three brothers. So Haven series focus around these three brothers who find their fated mates. They are also trying to prevent an upcoming war. So let's talk about the first book. The first book in the series is Haven, and we have the youngest brother, Leo, who meets his mate, Liliana. So before I get into that, these three brothers, their mates actually are what in the series the author called Kokora souls. These three women are actually embodying souls that are tied together that keep an evil entity locked up from this previous war that happened between demigods and humans who were able to wield magic. So Liliana is the first Kokora soul in the first book, and her and Leo are fated mates. So the Tegan brothers, like I said, they're in the human realm, and in the human realm, they're in Atlanta, and Liliana is actually in another realm, but she's in Atlanta looking for her sister who has been lost to the family for like 4 years. And Liliana, who is being forced to marry her sister's mate, is like, hell no, I'm not doing that. Let me go find this girl, okay? So that's where we pick up in the story with Liliana. She's at a club, which is called Haven. And in the series, the brothers, there are havens throughout the world. And with the havens are like safe spaces for demigods and humans to interact without, shit popping off. So on this night, she's at the Tegan Brothers Haven. And on the night that she's there, sometimes at Haven, on certain nights, it turns into a hot, sexy sex club. Okay, kind of, sort of. Like club beats. Everybody fucking on the floor. It's like, and there are other beings in there, and they're feeding off humans as well. They're feeding off the sexual energy that's going on. So yeah, sex club. So she runs into Leo that night. And what I liked about Leo and Liliana's story is that right off the bat, these two knew that they were fated to be together, that they were fated mates. It really wasn't a whole lot of rigmarole with them. Liliana has her issues. Again, like I said, she's looking for her sister. She also has issue with her mother. Her mama was bugging the fuck out. Her mama played like favoritism between her and her sister, but we found out like the real reason why her mother didn't really care for Liliana, excuse me, too much. Because I was like, damn, why she don't like her own kid? But child, it's crazy when you find out like the reason why. But and Leo has his own issues where he is having like this strained relationship with his mother. Leo and his brothers. Leo's like half brother to his two older brothers. Kind of find out that the story behind Leo's birth and why his mother did what she did was crazy, because amongst the books you find out, like in the first book, you think his mother was just out here like being a tramp, but reading all three books, you find out like the real reason she slept with a king from another realm and had Leo. So there's tension between Leo and his mom in this book. and he just does not care for his mother too much. He thinks his mother like betrayed his father and stuff like that. But like I said, there's a different backstory to that. So you have these two that have their own separate issues, but and in the series, Leo is what everybody calls death. Death. What did they call him? Oh my God. He basically, I put it on the screen. He basically like is tasked to pretty much drag demigods who are sentenced to hell, their version of hell. He is sentenced to dragging them down there so that they can face Azra, who's the hell god in this series. Also in this series, you will see the characters interact with these three gods, Rugaba and Azra, who are brothers, and then Oya. And there's some tension between Oya and Rugaba. But anyway, Leo is tasked with dragging those people down there so that they can face their sentencing. So he has that job, and what the thing with Leo is, once he finds his mate, the thing is, once he finds his mate, they are told that they have to give up pretty much their jobs. And Leo is really having a hard time with that. He loves being Death's messenger, which tripped me the fuck out. I was like, say sight, but no, he loved doing that job, and he didn't want to lose that job. But at the end of it all, he ends up keeping it, but only because now they find out in the book that Liliana is the first Kokora soul that they come across, because the brothers are tasked with finding these souls and keeping them safe, basically bringing the bodies that are harboring, that are embodying these souls, and bring them to Haven so that they can protect them. And also with the brothers, they are part of this elite force that pretty much is kind of sort of like the military police for the demigods and stuff. His older brother Xavier is head of it. It's called the Amanda. So that's what they have to do. I like this book. The first book, I really enjoyed it. Loved the interactions between Leo and Liliana. I thought they had great chemistry on page. Y'all know our word here, chemistry. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't really too much rigmarole between them. Liliana kind of like a little bit frustrating sometimes throughout the read, but once you found out the situation with her and her mom, you understood why she was the way she was. But I love that her and Leo pretty much just from jump was like, hey, we're each other mates, and this is new to us. We barely know each other pretty much, but we're gonna figure this shit out and work it out. So Haven is a great start to the series. It pretty much sets up this story of the brothers and their mates, the women that are eventually going to be their mates throughout this series, pretty much saving, pretty much protecting the world from this evil entity that has been locked up for a long time. So basically what's going on is there was a previous war between the demigods and what the demigods, the humans that are called divines. These humans are able to wield different forms of magic, okay? And there was a war between them. The humans were losing, and they punk asses pretty much conjured up an evil entity who got out of control. They could no longer control, you know what I'm saying? They couldn't keep a rein on that motherfucker, pretty much. And they had to come together with the demigods to pretty much lock this evil entity away. And this is where Liliana, Brianna, and Asa come in, where they pretty much are tasked with keeping the lid on the evil, okay? So the first book pretty much sets up the story, also gives you great background on the brothers. in the world that you're going to be diving in. Okay, so then we move on to the second book, which is the second brother, the middle brother, Fallon, and his mate, his fated mate, who's going to be Brianna, who is a human. Okay, so Brianna is the second Kokora, so she is chosen because Brianna is like a researcher. She's really heavy into research and stuff like that. And in this second book, Brianna ends up getting kidnapped and her memories are wiped. And she wakes up in Haven after pretty much the kidnappers dumped her body in front of Haven. And now it's up to Fallon and his brothers to find out who kidnapped her. And also, because she is a Kokora soul, along with Liliana, they have to keep her there and protect her. But Brianna is not the wilting flower. She did, and she also is having some issues initially being at Haven because she feels like it's kind of like, a cult type of situation going on up in there, because from her past, her and her parents actually, so with these divines, these humans that are able to wield these different types of magic, they are part of these groups of people that are called Essence throughout the series. But the Essence group that Brianna and her parents were in, of course, the leader of their group took the group to like some cult type shit, you know what I'm saying? So she's having a hard time trusting Fallon and his brothers in what's going on in Haven. And also, again, that is because she has lost her memories. I think she lost like a year's worth of memories. So in this book, we see where pretty much her and Fallon are trying to like figure it out, you know what I mean? And with Fallon is the middle brother. He's very much used to tasking himself to being a buffer in between, all the shit that is going on inside of his family, especially a situation that pops off in the series with Leo and the parents and the mother, and oh god, that shit was wild as hell. So we see where Fallon is pretty much getting stressed because the father is coming to him demanding that he try to like stop babying Leo, but also help me out, that type shit. So he's pretty much frustrated. So and yeah, and like I said, so they're trying to figure out who kidnapped Brianna. So the thing is with Brianna, because she's a researcher, she is tasked with protecting this book. And in that book, it has like these spells and stuff. It's one spell in there that is, directly tied to keeping this evil enemy, who they call Ofari, locked up. So these people that kidnapped Brianna is trying to find this book. She can't remember what she did with the book and all this other stuff. So, we had that whole backstory going on. So Soulbounded is the longest book in the series. I do feel like at times we got a little bit lost in the story. In Soulbounded, the pacing was very off sometimes for me inside of the book, because I feel like whereas in book 1 and 3, the romance kind of like just went took off running, you know what I mean? And I feel like there was the pacing of the relationship between Fallon and Brianna, it just didn't hit sometimes for me, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. It didn't take away my enjoyment of the story. Brianna and Fallon are very much likable characters. Same with Leo and Liliana. And Brianna makes for a lot of funny moments inside of this book. She's very blunt, and her bluntness is kind of like almost kind of like a bomb for Fallon. You know what I mean? Who is kind of like, he's head of security for the Amandas. And yeah, so even though I feel like their love connection took the longest for us to get to, and with everything that was going on, trying to figure out who kidnapped her, and Fallon being a runner, because he took it upon himself to be stressed out about his family. He was making the situation between him and Brianna harder than necessary. But yeah. So even though it took a little bit longer for us to kind of get like a real connection, in my opinion, between Brianna and Fallon, I still enjoyed it. So then we move on to the third and final book in the series, Hellbound, which is the oldest brother's story, Xavier. And he is fated to be with Asa, who we kind of find out is the Hell God's Azra's daughter. Okay, so in this book, pretty much Xavier and Asa's story is kind of like insta love, because now here's the situation with Asa. And quick content trigger warning, there's mentions of domestic abuse in this particular book. It is not on page, but it's in reference to Asa's mother, who was in a bad situation. Asa loses her mom in this book. Her mom is actually murdered, and Asa is attempting to deal with the grief of losing her mom, and then finding out that she's not as human as she thought she was. She's actually a pure demi goddess, because she is the Hell God's daughter. So she's also trying to figure out this relationship between her and her father, her birth father, her real daddy, and she's also trying to find grounding in the relationship that is building between her and Xavier. So the situation that happens between Xavier and Asa is that for like a year, Asa has been pulling Xavier into her dreams, and they have been hot and heavy in these dreams. They actually developed a relationship for like a year. So when Asa is the third Kokora soul, and she's actually the most important Kokora soul, because where this evil entity is actually being held in hell, where her daddy at. And yeah, and that's how she ties to being the third. Actually, her damn daddy made her the third Kokora. So I was like, really, Azra? But anyway, like, sir. But so she's trying to figure out the type of grounding in between her and Xavier. So like I said, they have been hot and heavy in each other's dreams for like a year now. And when they found out like that she is the third Kokora soul, she doesn't really get a chance to really grieve for her mom. She's finding out all these information about her dad. Her mother didn't tell her. It was so much going on with Asa. We really see her, going through it inside of this particular book. And with Xavier, I just feel like Xavier, he's actually head of the Amandas. So he is tasked with protecting the earth realm and all these elder realms. He's like, the delegate, what I'm saying, for all the shit and the politics that pop off between these other worldly realms and shit like that. So homeboy is stressed, okay? So when Asa is brought back to Haven and he sees her, and they're both like, oh shit, it's you. They kind of like Spider-Man in each other. You know what I mean? Like, uh-oh, you know what I mean? But I like the situation between them. I thought they were just really great on page together. It wasn't a whole lot of rigmarole between them. It was like, hey, we did what we did in our dreams, and yeah, we're mates. You know what I mean? I do wish in this book we would have gotten more information on Asa'S powers, because Asa is very powerful because she's a half, she's fucking the Hell God's daughter. So, her powers were binded by her dad, at the request of her mother. So we really don't really see, we see a little bit of her powers kind of like seeping through, even though they're binded. She has a real strong power of persuasion. She could talk people in some shit, and she's also able, with like what she did with Xavier, she's also able to pull people into her dreams. So like I said, what I would have wanted to see is like a more fuller discussion of her powers and what she can do. You know what I mean? Because the way they were saying it, like, yeah, this lady ain't to be fucked with. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Also, this book kind of like is the catalyst for the situation, this almost war that pops off. We find out there are demigods and humans that really want this evil entity Ofari out, and we see shit pop off in this last book. This last book I feel like has a lot of action in it. We see the three ladies come together to keep this evil entity, the hell where he at. We see Azra, who we find out the reason that he really can't leave hell and is tied to Ofari. And the way Azra is out of, like, he really was the trickster god, you know what I'm saying, even towards his own child, you know what I'm saying, because he wanted to fuck, like, he realized that he's the hell god, but like, shit, I want to come visit, the earth realm some motherfucking time. But anyway, so we see where he does what he does, and we also see where his brother Rugaba finds out about Asa and why Azra lied to him. Like, it's a whole backstory on that. It was really crazy. But this book was kind of like, the ending of the Tegan brothers, and them preventing this war that was supposed to pop off. This book had a lot of action in it. It was really a great read, and I liked it. I liked Asa. She was really just great on page. And Asa is kind of like this adventurer. Like, she would go off and like find these lost artifacts for people and stuff like that. But when she got to Haven, she couldn't believe in like demigods and magic and stuff like that. I was like, Asa, be for real, okay? But Hellbound is the series pretty great. So as a whole, I high-key enjoy this series. I love the world building, which is fantastic. The way she breaks down the different realms, the different creatures, the types of magic, different magic that everyone has is really, really just great. And the politics that come into play, especially with Leo, and him being like a crown prince and shit, like, it's crazy. It was just really awesome world building. Love the characters, their descriptions, and this is like, finally getting a series, a paranormal fantasy romance series, where everybody's black, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Is just, all complexions, all just beautiful, beautiful black people. And I love that. I cannot recommend this series enough, especially if you love like fantasy, paranormal romance. Definitely check out the Haven series. Like I said, just the breakdown of this world, the description of the characters, the relationships across books, not just between these couples, the love interests of these couples, but also the family ties. That is one thing I always say I love about Drea Anderson books, is her breakdown of family. Even though we see a little bit of dysfunction across, not just between the brothers, but their mates and stuff. The family dynamics inside of the Haven series is really fantastic. Like, at the end of the day, you see that everybody just comes together and just love on each other, you know, and I love that. Especially I love the relationship between the brothers and how they're always there for each other, especially when they're going through it, when it comes to their mates and stuff like that. Like, and her description of their mating ceremonies, like when the Tegan brothers mate with their you know, with their mates, it's just like the mating ceremony is just it you can tell that she did enormous amounts of research when it came to this series. It's just really, everything just ties in perfectly. So yeah, you will enjoy it. Okay, that is it for me. Until the next one, later days. Bye.